Peace. I had a moment to make this right here. Make this video. Wow, the clarity I've been getting is amazing, through the roof. Hold on, I can just... Bow down. Oh, no. Why did I think this was gonna happen the way I thought it was? I can't actually. I just gotta get this mother stand. Something like, okay, actually, there it is. Oh, got a little son, but woo, let me give gratitude. Yeah. Let's give honor to the source of the creator, the most high, the ancestors known and unknown. I just got major clarity from a video. What is this sister called? Saffron? Oh gosh, how did she say that? Every time I try to pronounce it. Akashic Prince. Because another one of her videos has a different title. But anywho, I get so much clarity. I love to learn from different things, not just when I research, but I love to learn from other people. And as much as it can be uncomfortable, like what you hear, if it's triggering, if it brings up something. She mentioned, and I'm trying to recall best what she said, like when you're trying to build a bridge and something unrequited, I believe, or build a bridge, and like you notice, like people had an opportunity, and this is what I've come to learn more and more in my own personal growth, is that life requires you, through the uncomfortability, through the storm, through transition, through whatever it is, it's gonna call for another version of you. But just that statement where I'm not able to recall everything because, you know, her words, she quoted it best, but I understood and overstood and got clarity of what it meant to me from my own experiences. And what I just got clarity, I was like, I just got to make some content off of this. And it's related to personal growth, internal growth, but mainly that I noticed why I scratched the inner side of my lip. But did something, I think basketball, I don't know, something. But it made me reflect on a lot of people that I knew and so forth, that that when I think about the growth, when I think about just personally, as I start to no longer sabotage or abandon myself just to accept like bare minimum or to settle, that's where the uncomfortability for me, or that's where certain things start to become more heavier, or I start to realize like more and more I start to recognize my own power. More and more I start to realize like this shit ain't for me. And some people don't want you to know that, but at the same moment, some people have this idea that you're always going to be that way. One of the greatest things I've learned throughout all of this is it didn't matter whether it was business, partnership, relationship, romance, whatever it was, it didn't even matter. One thing that I realized about me is that I told myself that I wasn't going to stay or even pretend that like being shit that I know that no longer served me. And I got better and better, and I started to master it, because a lot of people are like, they take it very personal when you outgrow or just step away and they feel like you owe them something. I start to accept more and more that, for one, I don't owe no one anything, especially when I need to pour into myself. And also that I gotta position this back. It just keeps sliding. But anywho, like, let me see. Anywho, so basically, like, telling myself, like, okay. And then, you know, it takes a lot of discipline, because that's what it took for me, a lot of discipline, into why I settled with things, or to why I accepted things, and to why I felt like I had to be in it longer than I really wanted to. And that was just through my own personal growth, through my own discipline, through the fact of what I didn't know then and now what I know now. And then not having no tolerance for bullshit. So I also become so very clear in when you're building and doing things, like how important it is to be aware of people's, and when you hear about, when you know how people say actions and patterns, basically that's a representation of the patterns. I mean, the seeds that they're sowing. So what I'm getting at is this: no one can come tell me what to do with the fruits of my labor, or the fruits of the seeds that I've sown, when no one truly know the depths of that shit but me. Like, no one, like, and that's even when I was in personal relationships, that's even when I was in things, like, I kept telling myself, like, people don't know and will never know, and so forth, because had they stayed, or whatever life situations or circumstances that they had going on, something I couldn't really control, and so forth. But there's still, you know, the elders used to say, like, people make time for what they want. Basically, in sowing seeds or whatever it is you're putting your efforts towards, you're going to make an effort towards, whether that's being in someone's life, whether that's building on something, whether you want to make sure that the bridge that you have to that person, whether it's like communication, whatever it is, that's a part of your responsibility as well. In that responsibility, the reward of that is, like, I see myself as an asset and a reward. I used to see my life, depending on like who I was around, like this suffering, and then that's not a life that's rewarding. I look forward to things now, like to see the importance of being present, being in my children's life, and how it shows me, like, not to focus on things that I feel I do not have. I have it. It may sound delusional to other people, but it's through the sowing of seeds that things are on the way, because people associate things materialistically, and this is where people value things differently. And this is where, you know, this person I no longer speak to, because I've seen their integrity, I've seen their actions, to where they maybe don't know why I don't fuck with them like that no more, but I just noticed how their patterns jeopardize the integrity that I wanted to live in and or living in. So that will become a liability to what the fuck I'm building, which is valuable to me that may not be valuable to them. And that goes for people all across the board, whether family, friends, it doesn't matter. That's the thing I realized, like, why I don't owe people, why I don't have to do anything that they feel like I should, and so forth. And it brings up even the awareness of, like, even my kids. It's like, I don't have to have people in their life when I realize you value being dysfunctional, and you value, you know, your core value system reflects irresponsibilities and things that I don't want to build towards. It's my responsibility to take care of my well-being, and then them being innocent, where it's certain things that they, one, don't have to be exposed to, and two, don't have to be around, because a part of what I go through is what they go through. You know, it's like it's an extension of that. they too are individuals. But this is something I expressed even to their mother one day. I was like, y'all don't even notice how, people don't even notice how there was a time how things are like the importance of the things I tell you about spiritually, and then highlighting the well-being overall, emotionally, mentally, and so forth, is because people will fucking try to build a bridge to your kids unhealthily through an unhealthy attachment due to their inability to be secure or heal or prey on things as such, especially if they don't recognize that they've been preyed on. And I was expressing to her, I said, it's wild how you see a lot of these systems and structures in place. They'll naturally try to reach their children in so many ways, program them early, and then we don't even see it as guardians to realize, like, this is why a lot of people feel like they don't have, and it's not control, but have, some type of influence even on their own kids. It's because you don't even know who, because other people have fucking influences on you. You let other people influence your life. You care more about what's going on in someone else's life rather than your own. That is an influence. You don't even care if they manipulate. You don't even care if they're deceptive. You don't even care if they well mentally or none of that shit. So for me, that's what I realized, like, in going on this journey of healing, generational curse breaking, cycle breaking, and so forth, in that shit that you don't see in the shadows, what you don't see on social media and so forth, there are seeds being planted that no one that in my authority to myself has to have access to. But due to the fact that we were exposed young and depending on our demographics and so forth, we were influenced so young to believe that a lot of shit that was okay, then as we grow into adulthood, it's not okay. That's why a lot of us now are finding out, like, bro, I'm sitting here reflecting on niggas I grew up with, people I grew up with who made it okay for them to think it's okay for a lot of elder men or men to prey on women that was in fucking high school, or they weren't even 18, and some of them y'all 30s and shit like this. I'm sitting here reflecting, like, these are some of the dudes that I'm sitting here like, these are some of the dudes I used to hoop with. I'm reflecting on, like, it's wild, bro. It's wild. The stuff the clarity that I've been receiving. And I'm like, the whole time, it's so vital, because once you move away, step away, you still see it's not so much the burning of the bridges, it's just the fact of, I do not want to build nothing with you, bro, sis, whomever it is, simply because our values are not the same. This shit is normal. It's just like a little kid young moving away from their hometown, or their mom and dad move, or they go to a different school. Your perspective on life changes as you are integrated or exposed to different environments and so forth. And then a lot of people cannot accept that you don't see them the same. And especially if my core values, if I don't do shit dysfunctional, I'm not out drinking and I'm not out doing this, bro, you can't make me do that. I don't want to do that. My whole life has changed around that. It's not about being perfect. It's about longevity. When you prioritize your well-being, and especially when you have kids, I grew up around people who didn't prioritize their well-being. So the bridge that they thought that they were going to have to me and my children, fuck no. Because again, we grew up in a society where people just assume, and this is what's so, when I say the woundedness and how we had, how our wounds were preyed upon, and how we unconsciously glorified our wounds being preyed upon. And now that subconscious fear creeps up, and now these insecurities that you just you dressed up and you masked for so many years into your adulthood, into how you in your family and so forth. Now all of a sudden you can't hide it anymore. Now all of a sudden that shit eating you up. Now all of a sudden you can't hide it from your kids. Now all of a sudden you're triggered, and they're mirroring back to you the shit that you want to control because you don't know how to manage, let's say, said emotions, or you don't know how to manage whatever it is, because what? Because you realize now that your mother was not a healthy fucking bridge. Your father, the environment, they were not bridges for you to be a bridge for the generation after and the generation after that. That's what this is about. Why the fuck would I sit here and assume that I want to be a bridge for dysfunctionality? No, I don't. So in that, I don't burn the bridge. The people who don't choose to elevate and evolve, I'm recognizing the patterns in which the seeds that are still planting in us parting ways and in us doing things. You had an opportunity to plant seeds that are healthier. And that goes for parents. That goes for a lot of people. You have the opportunity. And even when you think someone is not looking, bro, I'm watching. I'm observing. Even if I'm not looking, the divine will give you insight. For some of you, dreams and visions and shit. Because you start to realize that, okay, in this dream that's unraveling for me, if I still try to connect with this person, they're going to make this shit a nightmare. Because they're still living in theirs. Because they're still planting seeds of nightmares and then making excuses on why they can't connect to you now, or why they cannot have access to you now. Because you don't even realize the nightmare you're in. In your unfulfillment, you actually holding resentment towards you, holding resentment and envy. And then when you see me living out my dreams, and you think I don't pick up on that shit, and you think I want you around me and my kids, because guess what? The first line of defense for my children is me and or their mother. So think about that for a lot of you as women. A lot of you, once you start cutting out certain fucking people, and your life will change. I empower you to do that. Because guess what? And what your bridge is to you is a bridge to your children. It don't matter how you look at it. So it's just as much as you think when you're not responsible for them, because again, I get it. You probably grew up in where you dealt with abandonment. But a lot of mothers and fathers, you know what ends up happening? They become jealous and envious of their kids when they start to live out shit and wonder why they go no contact and don't want to deal with them. I refuse to be that for my children. And that's what I'm encouraging. And for the other kids. Because it's different. When you have your own kids and then you see other kids, and I'm like, you know what? I have to be just as real with them too. But they have to go home to shit that I don't, which is their own vices, which is their own individual journey, which is certain things they will have to come along when they grow up and see as well. They most likely will come aware and see what their mama hid from them. A lot of people don't realize, like, bro, while you watch, you don't know the seeds I was planting. So how the fuck you think you're going to feel obligated or even think that you're going to have some type of attachment? Like you want to attach yourself to me and to my name. I'm seeing this shit play out right now. People still, it's like, I saw some shit the other day, like, this person know we don't have nothing. And it's like, they know, even if they don't know, let me just say this. They know that the brotherhood that we had, we don't have no more. And it's interesting because I know he watched this. And I don't have to explain to him. I don't owe him anything. It's just the fact of, it's the principle, and it's also the awareness around, I don't have to tell you what you did. I don't have to convince you and prove to you anything. Because that's the thing about growth. I don't have to have the conversations. I made a decision for myself. I've closed that chapter out. Because it's much more deeper. Like I told y'all before, I'm not building shit with people who I know internally on the spiritual level. When you get to a place where it focuses on your well-being, it's no difference in a mother, a family member, an old associate, or whatever it is, people from my childhood. It's no difference. Once I see you moving a certain way, and then I have to see the bigger picture of who's connected to me, I don't have to address it in ways that you may feel I have to. No, I'm still seeing the seeds that you're planting, and I also still notice the shit that you ignore. I still pick up on the vibe. My intuition, my spirit, what's in me is saying, no, that's a no. That's a no. You don't have to force it. Because why go down that road, or and see, this is what's so vital, is that I see why they try to get the kids or our inner child so young, because emotions are so powerful, and what you put your emotion towards, because emotions are a bridge from the spiritual, from what we feel, to it's that feminine aspect, to what we feel, into that masculine aspect. Think about rage, think about anger, and how you're navigating in a healthy way. So a lot of things I realize are unrequited, and if you don't know what it means, look it up. A lot of one-sided shit. If I'm sitting here investing into something, I'm investing my energy. I'm investing my emotions or certain things around. I had to learn how to not do that, because it was so emotionally draining or exhausting, which is a part of spiritual currency. Investing in someone is a part of investing so much of your well-being, to where you have to find a balance. That's naturally. Those of you know who got kids, you know that is an investment. But some people, man, it's wild, because some of what environments we grew up in, even the demographics, even economically and so forth, the energy of the powers that used to be in so many things, is y'all have to realize, like, your ancestors is calling you to realize, like, these people have already burned the bridge, whether it's with the connection of the land, from that connection from a country. Like, y'all got to realize, like, a lot of bridges have been burned, and you're going to see the desperation of people wanting to rekindle things, but they're still trying to do it from an unhealthy attachment. That's why all offers are not good, spiritually, contractually, physically, and so forth. And it plays out through so many different ways. That's why a lot, like, when I even think about when I think about reparations or certain different things, it's certain things that, yes, it's karma playing out or things being restored, but I also have to look at the fact of how I was expressing to the mother of my children, like, telling her, like, you have to see how certain shit have preyed on the wounds, or keep people at a lower nature, to keep them emotionally investing and siphoning their energy from a place of codependency. When you think about how a lot of things have been fueling and keep going when it comes to being a bridge to dysfunctionality, trauma bonding, as I told y'all before, when you think about the old world and the narrative and so forth, even how certain people perceived us, and then how you perceive yourself, that's the influence. Your influence is coming from what the fuck somebody else said. And you actually let that give you power of, oh, this is, they called me this, they said this about me, listen, in their insecurities, in their ability to try to do that, that's a spiritual thing, but that's also forces at play to try to keep people in that loop of believing, oh, damn, we got to try something else, we got to do this and do that, because it's showing how insecure and how much people are so codependent on the fact of not being able to become self-sufficient. They want that. And you gotta look at relationships and shit like that. In your ability to plant seeds to be more self-sufficient, to be more self-reliant, to show up for self, it not only exposes your codependency, it encourages you to be more interdependent and see the interdependence of everybody else, to also bring up what people are unhealthy attached to in such a codependent way. In all dynamics, business and relationships, corporations and so forth, they're fucking dependent on you. Codependent for sure, because you think you're just showing up physically. No, it's spiritual as well. So when you think about an individual stepping to their power and then have influences on other people, again, this is why they prey on our have in the past preyed on our woundings, or the little child, or try to get children so young to influence them that this is the way of life and so forth. It's almost like trying to convince them that through media, through cartoons, through so many different things, y'all have to pay attention what type of fucking seeds that they're planting, and then what type of seeds are you influencing your kids. So now when they grow up in the world, how the fuck are you trying to say how you raised them? You didn't plant any seeds. And then the seeds that you unconsciously planted in your inability to show up was still subconsciously planted in their minds. Oh, mama's never around. I have to navigate this by myself, so I have to be responsible early. That seed is growing. Now they take this into the world. Oh, that cartoon said this is what men and women do. Oh, this is what da-da-da does. Oh, I'm supposed to be excited about this. I broke some shit down to the mother of my kids today about this cartoon, because I ain't finna get nobody no fucking free promotion. But it's such a physical and spiritual thing, because I bring this up about how easily we were influenced and seeds were planted growing up. And it's even important to where the reason why a lot of us are here and to say our message and to speak up is because we that are coming more deeper into awareness of our shadows and subconscious and what we have been through are realizing the polarity or duality of this fucking world, of our own world, and to make peace with it, and then to be able to share it. Meaning that the fact that if I saw these cartoons, I'm like, they always, for one, show always this happy da-da-da-da-da, this and that. And I'm just like, that's what the fuck it is. They will program your kids, and this how deep it is. They will program you, but in certain demographics. Notice how certain shit is fed to people through media. But in certain demographics, they're fed certain things, and knowing that it's going to have an effect on not only their psyche, but their behavior. So certain cartoons that I've seen, I'm like, they drop shit in there, or they put stuff in there, but it's like they always portraying as happy, overly happy, overly happy and joyful, like one side. Notice how they only give your kids happy, joy, shit like that. And y'all keep thinking, like, let me tell you the discernment in that. It's because we know, those who know, that's not life all the time. They dropping stuff in there about marriage. Oh, yeah, they get rings and then they get married and then they talk about kissing and shit on there. I'm like, why the fuck does kids even need to know this shit young? Shut the fuck up with this. Some people may say, well, that's okay. That's cool. It's not for you. But I'm talking about the discernment of the fact of you giving them one side. I was like, bro, where are the cartoons that really show the balance between certain shit that's like, Ray going through these emotions right there. How are we going to navigate through it? Or, it's just come from so many different perspectives. But I noticed the influence that it has when you're just giving them one perspective, because what it does is that it'll make the mom and dad and everybody in there is giving the kids an impression. As much as you think that this shit doesn't matter, when you think about how if I just portray myself to be happy, and then you teach your child, what's the first thing y'all tell them? Be kind and treat others like you want to be treated. But what's also important from that is that treat yourself how you want to be treated. How many of you know about that? How do I treat myself? Oh, I'm just supposed to treat everybody out here kind no matter what the fuck they do to me. How many of y'all tell y'all to your kids? Now, some of you be like, yeah, somebody, the old saying, like, somebody hit you, you hit back. We all know toddlers, when they're very young, they get frustrated. Uncontrollable emotions. That's another thing that's not taught. I'm telling you right now, I know someone, they go through what y'all don't, probably a lot of y'all don't know in certain demographics, is guideposts. Research that. For a lot of you that's in public schools, I was telling her, that's like they put certain shit to make other kids progress. And this has nothing to do with nationality, color, and creed. You gotta realize all of this shit is designed for division and to keep certain people progressing, because in those spaces, there are people of all different cultures and creeds. I'm talking about when it comes to also building bridges and being a bridge for basic human needs. So you thinking that a lot of shit you're learning, you don't just supposed to get that shit and run away? What did Erykah Badu say? What is that song called? How she said, basically learn what you need to learn. Get, a man that knows something knows nothing at all. But it was something where, get the gems or get certain things and share it to the youth. Because y'all don't realize the inner child that we have in learning these things, you actually, in your discernment, share that with the youth in being who you are. Y'all keep that shit away. That's who I don't trust and I don't fuck with. Because guess what? They are the ones who are in the shadows, which y'all don't see, in the spiritual aspect that y'all not concerned about. Because they just want to, oh, this person is not, and they be the same ones that lure your fucking kids into something. Because a lot of that shit that was created, y'all don't see the wickedness behind how it will lure your child in believing that anybody that looks like a certain way, acts like a certain way, is kind, offering them fucking candy is cool. Man, I'm telling you, I went through the experience even months ago at a time, because I'll probably post this video, but just a while ago, of this elderly man wanting to like offer kids candy. Man, that was shit. My spirit was so discerning. You won't offer my kids shit. You won't offer my kids shit, because then I start to observe and see his behavior. Then I start hearing through the grapevine, but I didn't take it like it was true. I started to let my intuition and my discernment pick up. He talks to such and such, and cause, and then he's an elderly man. He, looking at the women, it's natural, men are visual, but it's just the way. And then just the way of certain people doing things. You got to start really observing people's fucking behaviors. I made a video about this previously, to where the reason why people won't ever, and I don't have to express to them or tell them why, because even if I do, and I don't care if they ready for it or not, if they ready for it, I'm gonna let that shit out. No, the way you moving, the way you expose yourself to stuff, I don't care who you are, you will not have access to me. Access denied. What I'm building over here, what they say, get with the program or get lost. Y'all got to realize the programming, in unprogramming, you have to recreate and program your own life. This is a strict fucking program here. Strict. And a lot of like with the mother of my kids, what she didn't like in realizing this, I realized it just shows no structure she had with her father, because again, it revealed that to me. Because when you think about what happens into your adulthood, when people are exposed to things sexually, you got to realize most of the time the foundation wasn't structured, wasn't built on discernment, or a father having something or mother having something strict. A lot of people, we were so fucking liberated so young that no one cared what we got into. No one cared. You can see the results of that. People in the street now. People are so numb to the fact that people on the street, to where they don't even care if the people get better. They don't care if they die. They don't care whether it's 50 degrees below. They don't. This is your world. They pride themselves. They fuel themselves off the ideology of death. Look at the system. Look at the structures. It's not created off holistic, healthy, building up, empowerment, honesty, integrity. This is why it's so discerning, where just because what you see on the surface, like, well, I tell y'all, bro, the shit they giving to kids, I'm like, notice how they implement candy and so much shit. For one, colors are activations. So when that man, I noticed how he would get people, and I'm telling, in the setting that we was in, I'm like, what the fuck? Again, I'm not gonna say nobody's name, but it's just the fact of you getting kids, and it's a way to build connection with people without physically touching them. We weren't taught that, especially those who were exposed sexually. We weren't taught that. Did you know that? Some of you probably like, what? Yeah, because we first thought through exposure that intimacy was just through sex, and then after that, what ends up happening is what? Now you start to realize along down your line, you start to create just from that, and you don't know how to do anything else. Well, I'm here to let you know that's not okay, and it was never okay. Because now in your rehabilitation, in rebuilding your life, such as I had to do, I realized how much I don't want to be around people. I love them, I can build stuff with them, but I'm discerning and I'm also protective. Not overly. No, it's more so in the unveiling of things and the healing. It's the mindfulness, like I said, in guys and dudes and people, bro. Like, y'all don't know what the fuck I be researching and knowing about. Like I said, they don't, as much as they want to sit here, project fear, fucking the media and all this other shit, keep y'all distracted with shit. There's a registered sex offender right next door. There's somebody right next door dealing with something spiritual, and the whole time they watching and praying on you. You don't know. You don't know. You don't care because you were never taught to. So the whole time I'm sitting here like, bro, as much as all this shit, the next meal, the next basketball play, the next this and that, all this other shit is a way of distracting your ass from really seeing the shadows of people, bro. Y'all don't realize the world, bro. Their world, as it collapses, it's gonna become clearer and clearer of how much has been hidden, to where it's like, that's the beauty of knowing how important what you're building. Like I said, there's people right now, it's like in my knowing how I know they not have done any type of shadow work or therapy or do anything, why the fuck will I let you around me and even think that you're gonna get close to me or my kids? A lot of y'all awakening is a part of that. Your enlightenment and so forth, and even to recognize the coons in the foolery in the spiritual community too. A lot of us are judgment. In our discernment, we are that judgment. A lot of them, man, it's so much shit, boy. And that's important because I sit back and I observe. Like I said, there's one guy I found out recently. Like this is like on one hand right now, and not even the last couple of months, it was hitting me. I was like, hold on. Either they have been sexually assaulted or abused, or somebody influenced them to think that this was okay. One guy recently I saw on police docket or something like that they posted, and like I said, I played ball with this dude, but he was like, he probably late 40s, early 50s. When I was younger, of course, he was like probably 20s or probably early 30s. And you would just look at his smile and just think nothing of it. Think nothing of it. Whole time, like, damn, something, I gotta say this. Whole time, on the report, it said that he had already had molested this child at 11. What it was it? Yeah. And then ongoing for either it was something about 11. I want to say it was he did something to the child young, and then ongoing for 11 years, I believe. I was like, what? Bro, if it was up to me, these people will have to be in their own fucking like part of the world until they get like some type of support and so forth, until they can show. And even with that, people who are so-called spiritual and all this other shit, it's so many different things to where when you really, and I feel like this is a lot of the not feel, but knowing that this is the shift in power that has already happened. It's because when you think about your leadership, when you think about a lot of stuff in place, when you think about the powers that used to be, a lot of it was a part of the free reign of so much wickedness being like just free reign of that shit, to where now the balance being restored. Is a lot of people aren't aware of the men they've been laying down with, the women, what they've been attached to, who they've been associated with, and so forth, and realizing the importance of them like really being with themselves, really getting their shit together. And people just associate getting their shit together with just, oh, get your life together materialistically, or just substance abuse. Bro, that is a balance to that shit. That is a spiritual thing first. And I realized more and more as I like got away from these people. Like I said, more shit was revealed to me about them. And I could just see the desperation for some, and you'll notice this, like the desperation of them trying to cling and reach out to try to reconnect in some type of way. And it's almost like, it ain't scary, but it's almost like on some stalker or gang stalking shit. But again, it takes a lot of courage to navigate a path as such, because that's what loving yourself is. Because loving yourself will have you seeing the parts where a lot of other people were comfortable with you being in or staying in, because they can feed off of it, or because it was just a trauma bond, and they assumed that it was a healthy connection. But in reality, that's all they know. That's all they knew and all they know. And then some people just assume they're supposed to experience this. If you don't know tarot, like this 10 of cups with you, this emotional fulfillment, or this abundant and prosperous life with you. How? You actually thought I was, you thought I really, there's people in my life who really, I chuckled because they didn't know how much, like, I knew how much I knew my worth and self-worth back then, but it's even more encouraging now and even more powerful that I stand up in it, because some people actually believe that I will double back or come back to them. And once I started to see the discernment or start to pick up on the vibe, I knew that it's like you're telling me, as I'm planting seeds of healing myself and breaking generational cycles and chains and shit like that, renewing my mind, just because I want to live a life that's more peaceful, harmonious, prosperous, fun, and shit like that. And what you call fun ain't fun. So you actually think I'm going to come back to some shit? I'll return to somewhere. But to go back to some shit, I'll look at you over there and act like ain't nothing going on. I just cannot vibe with that shit that you on. I cannot vibe with that shit. You won't even be able to get close to me. No matter who you is. So I just back from what? I had people, man, once you start realizing what people got attached to them, back for what? I'm passing through. Back. Shit, that shit was hilarious. I had some people say, you gonna come back. Back to do what? Like, it's so funny now I think about this shit. You'll be back to, no, what somebody told me one day, and I just knew it was like some wicked shit or just something. But then I start to learn that this motherfucker was into some shit, like doing spiritual shit that I didn't even know of at the time. Like, you know, some people in the South, they call it root work and shit. But basically it was like, no one ever, like the look in her eyes, somebody, everybody that fuck with me always come back. No one, like, never come back. Let me look in the sun in the camera. Who the fuck do you think you talking to? Gotti. That's what I'm gonna put on this video. Gotti. Who the fuck do you think you talking to? I had someone else told me too that I returned this one chick, I returned, and what she said, I see 3 years. I said, no, I ain't. No the fuck I ain't. And asked me why now. The one that said that before, that was it's 20, what they call 2026. The one, what I just said before, She said that shit in 2000 and, let me see. My daughter was born 2021. She said that in 2019, 18. I started thinking some crazies out this motherfucker. And y'all know, those who know. Y'all gotta realize when people are not in tune and have no sense of balance, it's just something a little unhinged or off about anybody. We all been there, but it's just something a little they be tweaking. Motherfucker get to coming out and saying anything. Who you think I am? And y'all don't be knowing, people don't grow up in certain things. Like you act like somebody else ain't said this before, or so I don't seen stuff like that. Like, nah, man, you tweaking out. Oh, and then it be so wild, show what people value. You think I'm gonna run back over some twat, as they call it, like some hoo-ha? What? Those who know this, that's why I made my channel for adults. But real talk, like, what? I'm gonna need you to elevate. I'm gonna need you to evolve past that. You 30, 40, 50, 60 still talking about, it sounds a little, if y'all want to use the term Jezebel or just succubus, like, you do something else. What else you building on? Because now you dealing with a man who don't master that and realize, like, what is that gonna do? That shit is everywhere, just like anything else. Everywhere. But all that shit is not healthy. If you know, you know. And I don't just mean on a physical level, it's a spiritual thing too. So anywho, that was what, 7, 8 years ago. I looked at that mug. And I started to recognize how unhealthy it was, and how every time it would just became something that was just, it sound wild, but some of y'all know, you can just tell when someone just pulling on you. Even I think about it, someone just, it's just so many things I started to realize as the mother wound started to reveal, and the patterns, the cycles. I started to see so much of the patterns of my mother and other women. And what I mean by that is just like the patterns of how they had no discipline, no structure, no type of nothing when they wanted to build anything with a man. And it was always at that moment in my life, like it was the man rather than them. There was no accountability and so forth. And once you start to recognize the energy, once you start recognizing stuff, you realize like these are people. This is their character. These are the seeds that they're planting. Because in your choosing a man or choosing people, that reflects you. That reflects you. So with that, again, revamping your life and so forth, I realized like a lot of bridges people could never try to cross with, well, come over, because you can't cross me, but can never like, no. And in my saying this, I just know, because recently I had someone try to show up. When I saw the message on something, I didn't even read it. Because sometimes, like, some people feel like reading it, like, you got to realize, even that's an exchange. I told myself, I just deleted it. Because there's just nothing. It's wild how certain things that people want to rekindle, rebuild, some of us, that's how you can restore things or bring closure or balance in whatever way you feel, because some people may call it unhealthy, some people may not, but you and that person know the experience that you had, you know the depths and so forth. And more so, I've gotten to a place where I used to tell a lot of people, where I used to feel like I had to explain or give an explanation. No, it's just more peaceful and it's more stable that I do things that keep me grounded, rather than feeling like I have to do this every time, or them asking me why this and why that. Man, listen, it's an amazing thing with personal growth and as you evolve, because the bigger picture is that when you have children, you want your children to be able to see that. And like I said, just a lot of things where I was like, going back to the mother of my children, like we both mirror back things, and I was expressing to her, like, I could just tell the structure she didn't really have of a strict father because of what she went through. And a lot of those things people don't realize the influence or the ripple effect you could have had on your children young. I have to observe that and learn through her, even when you don't want, even when I have to have the uncomfortable conversations to let her know, like, listen, that was your experience. And that's what I realize the difficulty is, where a lot of people want to have, when you still have to be discerning with grandfathers and grandmothers or people, family and so forth, who still want to be a bridge to your children, but have done no fucking shadow work, have not healed, have not faced any things, have not, and that's why I say the unrequited is just one-sided. It's just all about this, and then they're not, they're not putting in any effort towards rekindling, not rekindling, but they want to rekindle, but they don't want to repair. Whew. Wanting to rekindle and reconnect, but never wanting to repair is very important, because in a lot of your connections or in your experiences, once you start to recognize how you have developed a trauma bonding system, and then other people have and still will want to trauma bond with you, that's a part of how they will influence your life if you will allow them. In their inability not to repair, and that goes from how you've been affected emotionally, on a spiritual level, mentally, and so forth. For some of you that has partner in businessship with people, sometimes I get you have to let someone know this happened just to see if they're going to repair something. In there not trying to repair, you have the opportunity to realize that you don't have to allow them access over that bridge to connect with you again. And then that you rebuild something, you be a bridge to something else and to other people who reflect that value, who value those things, who you can actually in their life, even though you don't know everything they're doing, in your alignment, those who align with you, you'll know that they have put in the work or tilled their land or sowed the seeds. You'll actually see the fruits of their labor, and not just from a physical level, because that's how a lot of us have been duped and bamboozled, because we have been convinced that oh they got all this, they got all that, so they got to have it all together. No, they don't. They can still be spiritually fucked up or something going on with their well-being, because no one's perfect. Just because of what you see on the surface doesn't mean that they met themselves to the depths. How many of us can relate to that? And this is where a lot of connections, people, you move on from and don't have to explain, because, like I said, it's business, it's transactional. Because if I'm minding my own business, like they say minding, like they say mind, but I think about like minding, like how you go into a mind and you search for things. But if I'm sitting here, we can just say minding my own business. I'm my own business. I'm my first love first. That's another thing I had to learn. So when someone try to convince me otherwise with some love bombing shit, or just assume that oh my gosh and da da da, I'm even more discerning more than ever, or just the patience in it, because I've had to heal myself. I've had to develop in building my own table, building things and repairing things within myself and other people who are willing to repair. Other than that, no. For some people, I'm like I said, some people it's been fucking years, and it could probably be longer, than probably be decades, probably when I fucking become an elderly man, because that's how much I'm so focused on living my life and moving forward with that, because I know what I built, so, and I know who I want to enjoy it with, if that makes sense. I know that makes sense for some people. It's so important, because I used to, like I said, at the time I would want to get caught up in, I gotta enjoy with this person. No, you have the opportunity to choose now. And when you're growing up, again, like I said, a lot of our mothers and fathers exposed us, a lot of people, whoever were around us in the environments, they, because you have very few of elders or people that were there who made sure, like, hey, keep your head on straight, this and this. And a lot of us don't forget about those people. They're part of us, a part of them being on our list, who, hey, if I not had went to this person's house, or hey, if I not connected or did this and that, it was part of a healthy balance. And you have the opportunity to pour into that and so forth. And again, going back to the fact of like, I've observed and see the seeds that people continue to plant. And they'll question why I don't fuck with, bro, I'm watching. You have the same, you want to call it 24, whatever, what have you been doing? I saw the seeds you planted. You wanted to support the celebrities. Oh, I see. Oh, she wanted to support the local artists. That's cool. Oh, you wanted to support the local drug dealer. Or you wanted to support the next politician. That's planting seeds. You putting shit out there. You sowing seeds or whatever it is from them. You letting that shit influence you. But not realize that in what I'm doing, not that you have to, you can't share, you can't post, you can't pour into. How the fuck is that any different? Because even what I'm doing has a ripple effect and influence. But you decide whether the influence is healthy or unhealthy. That's what this is about. So even if you think I haven't observed or watching, bro, that's the beauty of social media. That's also the beauty of people not saying shit and going away and acting like it won't catch up with them. That's the beauty in that. That's the beauty. In your silence, in your not saying something, in whatever you're trying to cook up and prepare, whatever script or whatever it is you're trying to speak that you try to save it. Because I made a vow to myself that I was going to pour into myself and continue to do for the rest of my life. Because I saw people who vowed, who actually made a proposition to not give a fuck about their well-being and how much it affected me. So now that I give a fuck about my well-being, it makes sense to why they could not even be at the same vibe or frequency that I'm at. So in that, it's alignment with people who prioritize things as such in the generations that come after us. So miss me with that bullshit that y'all be sitting over here playing and realizing the importance of how the world has shifted, how the mindsets, how things are being renewed, things that once you cared about, things have changed. Yeah. So it makes sense. It makes sense. What they say, it makes sense, and what you doing ain't adding up. You keep saying, oh, this, it ain't adding up. Because what I'm doing over here, I'm seeing the results for me, and it's adding up. So while you over here trying to focus on counting my pockets or, watching what I'm doing, you will never know what I'm doing, everything that I'm doing. Like I said, I vowed to myself years ago how much I was going to pour into myself. How much I was going to vow to be on this journey into recovering, restoring what it is to love self, to honor self, to step into your own power, to express yourself authentically. Like I said, in people's knowing, like, don't abridge for what? Y'all, wow, y'all don't realize how a lot of these people that's on this world stage and so forth have bamboozled y'all. They would love for y'all. Look how they treat you when you meet some of them. Like I said, y'all influence. Y'all getting exactly what the fuck you put out there. Y'all care so much about dysfunction. Who's in the next this? Who doing? Who? Not me. I don't want to know what such and such got going on. I don't want to know. If the divine brought me out of it and I'm at where I'm at and I'm safe, I'm secure. A lot of y'all planting seeds of unsurety, more insecurities, being around people who still doing the same shit, who reflect basically you or a part of what you want to be a part of. All these different things, and then you just gonna assume that you're gonna try to hold on to someone's coattail or just jump in their ship, and all of a sudden now I want to jump ship. I hope you can fucking swim. I hope you brought a floaty. I hope you brought a floaty. That's all I just hope you brung a float. If you think you gonna, that's gonna be the top. You think you finna jump ship, or I hope you, even if hope ain't ever got no one, you better have brought a fucking floaty, cause you gonna be out there a long time. This ship is sailing away. The ships have came in and they sailing away, and they ain't taking no fucking dead weight. The anchor don't came up. You gotta realize, ooh, you know how the anchor or some ships you have to put down and they just there temporarily? Like those who know you go on a carnival or go on a cruise or some shit like that, and they have to anchor the ship. That shit ain't there ever. When they tell your ass to be back on the ship, or your ass gonna stay there, stay there. That's how I'm looking at some of y'all. Stay your ass there. And I'm gonna be so honest, like, it's wild because and what I'm talking about, like the bridge concept and so forth, even a ship, when you start to realize, like, at a point in time I wasn't the captain of my own ship, I was a passenger. I would let everything going on, and I like, damn, people having so much influence. And I started to realize, like, self-worth, self-confidence, and what I value. So now I was like, everybody thought it was cool for me to enjoy what they wanted me to enjoy. And now I decide to, you know, what I want to enjoy and who I want to enjoy with. And I was like, you know what? They better have a floaty. At a moment, like I said, in the moment where I wasn't as secure emotionally or secure within myself, I actually, at a time, due to like where I had this emotional connection, or had these things connected, what do they call it, like cords to people, you know, how the spiritual emotional cords. I actually had this for people. Like, I didn't even know why I couldn't get past the feeling. And you know, you want to believe people are gonna come back, all this other shit and so forth. And I cared enough to where I was like, you know what, even if they come back, I'm gonna forgive, I'm gonna let it go, build on something. Then you start to learn in life through wisdom, through experiences, that for one, people prioritize what they want and they don't have to do anything. And I also accepted that they've already made their choice. It was me that didn't make my choice. And I also had to realize the importance that I encourage people to do. You always choose yourself in situations. That's not to say that, you know, people are going to make their choice, because people are always going to show you that they're going to choose themselves based on their experience, their belief systems, and values. So for me, that's why I realized, like, in this, choosing self is a beautiful thing, even if some people feel like it's selfish. But it's also a part of, you know, standing in your power and choosing what brings you balance and harmony in your life and peace, or whatever you value. Yeah, it was, over the years, it was difficult for me to be like, man, I just know they're going da. But a lot of when they really show up, or certain energies try to show up, is when you accept it within yourself. Because it's not about forgiveness. It's about acceptance, that it's in a deep clarity or acceptance within self that they don't have to. And it's not so much I don't want them to, I don't care. I cared, but then again, it's like, over time you start to realize more you pour into yourself is that for now, and how you built the bridge to each other, or whatever it is, whether it was requited or unrequited, now you realize how unrequited it was one-sided. So now, as you experience pouring into something that was once requited for you, and now recognizing it's unrequited, now they have to decide, like, now for some people, unless it's a karma, they're gonna, in trying to have access to you, they're gonna have to build again towards you, or build something. And even if they have the tools, again, you get to accept that you no longer, like, it no longer resonates. And those can come through uncomfortable conversations or just the fact of teaching people that rejection is a part of life. And also rejection can be a form of protection depending on how you view it, because it's only showing you, for one, it's not divine timing, or it is divine timing, and more so focus on yourself. And life goes on. Get yourself in order. And that's what was very challenging for me, because you know how you want things to happen on your time and this and that. Nah, it's bigger than that, because I told myself, I was like, for one, it keeps you distracted from your own spiritual, emotional, physical well-being and showing up for yourself. Like I said, there was moments where I feel like motherfucker had a pool. Like, I ain't know what. And I told myself, I'm like, yo, people have made their choice. That's what you have to accept. And in that, you have to choose yourself. They've made their choice, not just so much who they want to be with, but they made their choice in how they want to live their life. Because they show you, even if you don't see it on a daily basis, them living their life is them planting their seeds. Because if you were a part of that, then you will see people make efforts towards building towards that. It's just that simple. It doesn't matter, family, friends, like I said, that comes with repairing the bridge. So, like I said, folks know, like, people know that your ships, well, you're selling away or you going away. But I like I said, I made this was years ago too, I made a vow to myself. Like, I told my mom, I told a lot of people, like, you'll be able to see me, but you won't be able to touch me. And that can be in whatever way they see fit. Like, it's real. Like, I can be driving through a town. Oh, I saw such and such. You can see me in the store. Oh, I saw, but you will not be able to touch me. And it's so significant because being exposed young is also being exposed to how people influence and being able to be in touch with you, because that's a part of access. Like being in touch, communication, all types of ways. Oh, I got such and such. No, you don't. And it's happening too naturally. Like I said, that people they won't be able to see me, but they'll be able to see me, but they won't be able to touch me. And it's literally unfolding. And that's the seeds I know I planted, because for one, in growing up with things being exposed, I value privacy. A lot of people don't value that. At a point in time when I was growing up, I didn't see the importance in privacy. I didn't see the importance of things being as you protect it. It's a form of being sacred. So when I see people, again, it's just my value, my perspective. When I see how people post their fucking children, this is just me. And then have no sense. I get the excitement around it, the innocence and so forth. But when people have no discernment around what we live in and how this shit goes and so forth, sometimes people have to go through that lesson of realizing, just think about, again, people who are registered and then they dealing with something. And like I told y'all before, motherfuckers really out here preying on single mothers or praying, watching, observing. Y'all don't realize how much this has been ongoing. Women do it too. Seeing if that man has somebody. Because y'all don't realize when they say strength in numbers, that's real. The tribe, the unit, the family unit, it's strength. Spiritually, and physically. Because notice how, I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Notice how you know how people want to get people by themselves. That's why they take advantage of them. When people feel like they're outnumbered, they prey on shit like that. Even the term single mother, it's like there's no man there to protect her physically from somebody. A lot of them not able to fight off a man physically. But this is where the spiritual discernment comes in, to where, let's say if you was in a season of healing, this is what it does. It encourages you to heighten and get more in tune with your spiritual gifts that naturally we all have. It's a balance, it's a duality. You dream when you were young, you picked up on a vibe when you were young as a kid. What the fuck you think is indifferent now? I mean, you know, the difference now. It's, you still got them. You just ignored them, or you just got distracted, or you keep distracting yourself with relationships. And what that distraction does in the physical, if you don't find balance, will literally distract you from your spiritual relationship with yourself and source, or whatever y'all call your higher power. That does what? Give you the spirit of discernment, intuition, all these things. Honor that nudge within you about this person, this vibe, this ain't right. Because that, what that does is that discernment is discerning the fucking spirits or whatever it is attached to him or her. And a lot of the intuition, when you grew, let's say this is when growing up now and learning more about what is emotionally safe for me, because again, in being abandoned young, I didn't know what that was. So I would place or be placed in positions where, in my mother's inability to be emotionally safe for herself and being in environments as such with other people, then you were exposed to just more and more people who were impulsive, who were combative, who were not secure emotionally and so forth, because if they were, they would move differently. So yeah. And then with that, again, it brings more awareness to the fact of, y'all don't realize y'all exposing yourself to people or being exposed to people, judging just by out there what they present on the fucking surface. And now you're seeing all these stories of how all these men and people are coming out, all this stuff happening to children in schools, all these different things. And I just immediately look at the fact of, like, look at what they were exposed to. Look at their foundation. But people just think it's just physical. No, a lot of things that are aligning and being brought and being restored has a lot to do with being able to recognize. Like, a lot of y'all don't know what emotional safety is. It's been disrupted. You continuously have a dysregulated nervous system, so you thinking that it's just about sex when the whole time this person ain't even emotionally safe for you. They don't even feel like home for themselves, so they gonna come along and disrupt everything spiritually for you and physically, because it plays out that way. That's from experience. I'm giving some of y'all need that. While this motherfucker's still over here planting seeds of creating broken homes, because he don't feel safe. He or she don't feel safe in that home within themselves because it's not secure or stable. So they continue to go through cycles, and that's what is the result of it. Unfinished business, unsettling things within them, things that are unbalanced, unstable or unstable, whatever you call it. And so they continue to plant seeds of that. So you got to take back your power. Not take it back, stand in your power. Because it's so important matriarchally, because y'all bring forth life. So in that standing in your power, you cut off a lot of shit. And that's going to really expose what's really going on with them inside. Once you cut that off, let them go ahead to somebody else. What the fuck? You know what? It's so wild when people, I sit there and think about that. I used to get caught up in that, but the more secure I got, which growing up, I wasn't ever a jealous person. But I realized, like, in connecting certain people, I recognized that they had a jealous spirit or envious spirit. And when I say that, I mean sexually, to where when we did connect, it's like just their way of saying things or doing things. It's like I recognize in them never addressing it, because they will notice something about me that they knew that making comments like, oh, I know you probably can talk to any woman, or, basing things on surface level, but a lot of that reflect insecurities. But you know how deep a secure person, because a lot of, when you think about sex, being sexually abused and stuff, or being sexually assaulted, that spirit of lust will be attached to a person, so much so to where they care, because whatever that spirit is, it cares so much about it having a host, or it having something to feed, or to to go back and forth with. You know how deep that shit is? To be a bridge. Because it has to plant itself. You gotta realize certain shit. It made me think about the movie Venom. But it's different. Like, to where even with that, they had to find a host, but then they had to work alongside of each other. But a lot of that is really symbolic to feminine and masculine, how I perceive it, like a balance. But it's more so of like, one can say people naturally have these things, but at the same time, it's a balance or discipline in it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, when I say overcoming lustful spirit, we demonize, or even just, put a negative connotation on, oh, it's lust. When naturally men are visual, but at the same time, these spirits or certain things, I feel that you can either allow it to just like consume you, or you can just allow it to realize like it doesn't have power over you, if that makes sense. It's just like looking at emotion. Like, we have anger, but it's the discipline in where I allow this anger to go. So again, that can be very, take with that from, receive, or, get clarity, if that makes sense. Because again, it goes back to the fact of, we have a nature in men naturally being ruled by sex. But again, if they don't find discipline in it, is what I'm saying. So if it's going to reveal in time as the matriarchal heals in the rise of the divine feminine within men and women, like the feminine aspect that gives birth to the divine masculine as well. So this, like, again, from my own experience, is going to reveal, I guess you could say, that spirit people still live with, that don't have discipline. There we go. So, and then again, you'll notice that their life will be, you'll notice that they'll be consumed by it. So, and I've noticed that to where, like, I reflect on somebody I used to talk to, and I was like, hold on, this person will just get up. They'll say one thing, but they'll just get up with anybody. Or they would tell me what they would do. And you in this shit like, oh shit, I don't care about none of that. But I'm like, well, maybe I could just, I'm gonna just get mine. I don't even care about that. Because I was so focused on, like, thinking that was all that is. If I ain't had nothing else, this is all. And I'm like, what? Like, now when you really start thinking about, like, what a lot of things, how people are just consumed or just allow, there's no balance, basically. A lot of things is just, it's not to say good or bad, it's just, it shows, like, where people have really been planting their seeds and what they've been doing. And it's always going to show. It's always going to reveal itself. So, I'm honored and really start to embody and love the life that I am creating, because it doesn't have to make sense to nobody else. And just, when you're in alignment with a lot of things, because it shows up or reveals itself. And so, yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna cover, because I'm getting hungry. But yeah, y'all take care of yourself. Peace and blessings. Shalom.